I don't got no friends. I don't got no friends. You know what I mean? I got supporters, people on my side and people on the other side.
Welcome to the shift where the whole room glows. DMG vibes got the city on go. Stand on what you know, every mind gon' grow. This you black, I'm with you, let the whole world know. Paradigm like, yo, shine just right. Respect your view even if we don't align right. We can disagree and still keep the love tight. DMG family, we elevate the mind right. This that channel that be talking back, energy attack. Iron sharpens iron, watch the whole league react. Competition in the building, better tighten up your facts. We ain't clones, but we still mirror how you crack under impact. Every debate will work hot, spot a weak, rep fast. You live wrong, paradigm shift, and break your stance. I'm the judge, the jury, the pen, the contrast. My bars hit always like a quadruple. Bottom to the shift, where the whole room glow. DMG vibes got the city on go. Stand on what you know, every mind gon' grow. If you black, I'm with you, let the whole world know. Paradigm light, yeah, we shine just right. Respect your view, even if we don't all align right. We can disagree and still keep the love tight. DMG family, we elevate the mind right. We invite every mind, long as you stand on yours. Walking with respect, leave with open doors. Channel stay lit, views jumping off the boards. STL bounce, yeah, the spy from the source. Competitors, welcome, step up, don't fold. We don't fit pressure, we refine under load. Thoughts heavy, we press them till the truth get told. Shift so clean, it feel platinum even when it's gold. Come through correct, bring your logic and your proof. Speak your truth, just don't run from the truth. We debate with grace, that's the paradigm groove. Flow so smooth, even turbulence move. Welcome to the shift where the whole room go. DMG vibes got the city on go. Stand on what you know, every mind gon' grow. If you black, I'm with you, let the whole world know. Paradigm light, yeah, we shine just right. Respect your view, even if we don't align right. We can disagree and still keep the love tight. DMG family, we elevate the mind right. Where the whole glow. DMG vibes got the city on low. Stand on what you know, every mind gon' know. If you black, I'm with you, let the whole world know. Paradigm light, yeah, we shine just right. Respect your view, even if we don't align right. We can disagree and still keep the love tight. DMG family, we elevate the mind right. Welcome to the shift. DMG vibes got the city on go. Welcome to the shift. Stand on what you know, every mind gon' grow. Welcome to the shift. If you black, I'm with you, If you black, I'm with you. Welcome to the shift. We can disagree and still keep the love tight. Welcome to the shift. DMG family, we elevate the mind right. Welcome to the shift. DMG vibe, got the city on low. With paradigm shift, keep it real forward.
Y'all know I say that greeting for one reason only. It's because if you black, I'm with you. And I hope that you with me.
Hey, welcome to Paradigm Shift TV 314. This is your brother DMG the Poet. We got a powerful debate with two powerful competitors for y'all. We're going to get right into it. First and foremost, let's go to the franchise. Some of y'all know him as the Galactic Bully. Some of y'all know him as Lucifer the Devil. Whatever name you know him by, brother, please reintroduce yourself to the Paradigm Shift TV 314 Worldview Wars Debate League audience.
It's St. Lucifer from that Fifth Street Catholic gang. You niggas not worthy. And that's on the Catholic clergy. You already know I'm representing VM. This nigga dead, man. Today we're going to be talking about Marcus Garvey and his support for Jim Crow. It's going to be clear. The Virginia Trio, he actually supported people that were in place in power to affect laws on racial purity and hypo descent. We're going to get into it. This nigga dead. You already know we rocking another body for the Christian Catholic Church. Let's get it.
All right, and this next individual needs no introduction. He's been in these debate streets for a while. He on Paradigm Shift right now. Brother, please introduce yourself to the Paradigm Shift TV 314 audience.
Jazz Exclusives, the GOAT. I'm here for this debate. I ain't got nothing else to say. Let's get to it.
All right. So y'all know the rules, man. It's a 3-minute opening, 2 12-minute rounds, a 12-minute Q&A where each individual will have 12 minutes to ask their opponent as many questions as they can. Now, it's up to the person who is asking the questions to mind their time. They do have 3 opportunities to stop their time if it gets stagnant. If it gets too stagnant, me as the moderator, I can get involved and say, ask the question, answer the question. But for the most part, that's the chin check session, and it'll be up to the individual asking the questions to keep that thing rolling. That being said, man, who is our affirmative?
I'm the affirmative. I'm saying that Marcus Garvey did in fact support Jim Crow.
So y'all know how it go. That means Joshua will be going first in the round section. When we switch to the Q&A, Taz will go first, Joshua will go second, Joshua will close out last. In this part, Joshua will open first, Taz will open last. Let me get my clock up. Let me reset for 3 minutes, and we will be off to the races. All right. Clock is at 3 minutes, Joshua. Time will start when you start.
Let's get it, VM. So today, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be discussing and proving that Garvey's ideology overlapped with and supported and bolstered Jim Crow's framework. Garvey's support for the logic of Jim Crow was rooted in what we call racial realism. He believed that white prejudice was so deeply ingrained in the American psyche that it was hopeless to fight for integration. In Garvey's view, the Jim Crow supporters were simply being honest about their intentions. He preferred the overt racism of the South to the hypocritical liberalism of the North, arguing that at least under Jim Crow, Black people knew where they stood and could focus on building their own institutions rather than begging for acceptance in white ones. The most literal evidence of Garvey's alignment with Jim Crow proponents was his 1922 meeting with Edward Young Clark, which I know my opponent is very familiar with, the imperial wizard of the Ku Klux Klan. Now, no one would argue that the Ku Klux Klan were not ardent supporters of Jim Crow. He aligned himself and supported KKK. The KKK themselves are ardent supporters of Jim Crow. This was an act of surrender, but a diplomatic negotiation. Garvey sought the Klan's support for his Back to Africa movement. His reasonings were simple: mutual interest. The KKK wanted a white America. Garvey wanted a Black Africa. Validation of segregation. By meeting with Clark, Garvey effectively validated the Klan's premise that the two races could never coexist peacefully. Endorsement. Following the meeting, Garvey famously stated that the KKK and other white supremacist groups were the better friends of the Black man because they were honest about their desire for separation. Everything I'm reading to you in this introduction and this opening is showing the viewing audience that this guy was clearly in support of Jim Crow. Racial purity, anti-miscegenation. This is clearly ideologies that come from and stem from Jim Crow. Garvey's rhetoric often mirrored the purity arguments used by Jim Crow legislators.
1 minute.
Jim Crow laws were designed to prevent race mixing, to maintain white supremacy. Garvey, conversely, advocated for race purity to maintain the integrity of the African diaspora. He was a staunch critic of amalgamation, interracial marriage, fearing that it would lead to an eventual disappearance of the Black race, which he would call the mongrel race. This shared obsession with maintaining distinct racial lines created a strange ideological bridge between Black nationalists and the architects of Jim Crow. So it's very clear Garvey supported the result of Jim Crow, the development of the black belt, because it forced black people to trade with one another. He believed that if black people were integrated into white society, they would always be at the bottom of the economic ladder. By accepting the separate part of the separate but equal, Garvey hoped to capitalize on the captive black market to build his own shipping lines, factories, and grocery stores. In his mind, Jim Crow provided the protectionist environment needed for the black capitalism to germinate without being swallowed by white competition.
Time, and that's time. 3 minutes on the dot. Let me reset, and we'll turn it over to Taz. Clock is reset at 3 minutes. It's on you, Doc. Let me know when you're ready. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm ready. So we're here today to debate if Marcus Garvey supported Jim Crow. I think the obvious answer is no, but unfortunately we have to do a debate on it because people don't understand that. So today I'll be debating with the sources coming from the Library of Congress, which outlines Jim Crow. I'll be using the Jim Crow Museum. I'll also be using direct quotes from Marcus Garvey and historical events to denote that not only did Marcus Garvey not support Jim Crow, but he actually fought against Jim Crow. Jim Crow was actually a minstrel, a character that was used to make black people look crazy, dumb, stupid, lazy, corny, just foolish. Marcus Garvey never supported this imagery for black people. He never wanted black people to look stupid, foolish, corny, lazy, or any of those things. And so understanding what Jim Crow is going through the door is going to be very important because it's not just a minstrel. It's not just a minstrel show. We also have the laws that came behind Jim Crow. The understanding that these laws were created specifically to undermine Black Americans is very key to this conversation, because you can say Garvey did this, he said that, he liked this person, but what you're not going to be able to see today from the other side is Marcus Garvey going against people here in this country, celebrating, supporting, praising Jim Crow. Jim Crow actually has an actual context to it, not just what we believe. Now, what's at question is Marcus Garvey's path to getting out of Jim Crow. And with that, I'll be showing that he did not support it because he wanted to get away from it. He wanted black people to go above and beyond Jim Crow. Jim Crow is a racial caste system, one that operates primarily, but not exclusively, to the southern and border states. Between 1877 and the mid-1960s, Jim Crow was more than just simply a rigid set of anti-black laws. It was a way of life. Under Jim Crow, we were relegated to second-class citizens.
1 minute.
So Jim Crow represents the legitimization of anti-black racism. If he can't show you anti-black racism amongst black people, not for our benefit, but to support whites, he's going to fall short. So again, understanding that Jim Crow and its history is rooted in undermining black people is paramount. Marcus Garvey understood that in this country, we would not be equal operating under Plessy versus Ferguson, and it panned out because after this was undermined by Brown versus the Board of Education, we saw positive gains. So again, to imply that Jim Crow was supported by Marcus Garvey when it was literally just a reaction to Reconstruction with the goal of enforcing white supremacy is nonsense, which is what I'm going to show today. So we'll get up with it in the Q&A round. I appreciate y'all's time.
All right. And the brother was finished right at the 3 minute mark. These brothers are on point as far as the time. Let me reset the clock to 12 minutes, and we're going to turn it over to Joshua for his first round. Joshua, do you want to bring up your presentation so I can get it queued up to go?
Yeah, I'll just set my clock and get my notepad ready. All right, so let me share my screen here. Got to do this for the Catholic Church, you know what I'm saying? 5th Street, putting another heathen in the box. And but before I even get to my presentation, let's talk about the Texas sharpshooter fallacy. And this is what my man Pots and Pans Tass is doing here. He's basically trying to limit
What's
Jim.
going on, bro?
Wait, what are you talking about? You can't hear me?
Hold up, I stopped the time. Hold on.
Yeah,
What happened?
Going on?
You
I'm saying,
can't hear me?
No, it's not. You're not on the clock right now, bro.
I'm not on the clock.
No, I started this time as soon as he said.
Wait, what?
My bad.
Yeah, no, I had start. He got. Let's see.
I thought you had my presentation on the screen. What happened, DMG?
He got 11 minutes 53 seconds. I don't even see your presentation, bro.
It's right there. You see? No, put my window up there. You see it right there, back there in the tab?
Yeah. Okay. Got you.
All right.
Yeah, I was confused. My bad, bro. I definitely wasn't trying to cut you off. Go ahead.
Yeah, I thought you were saying.
And Joshua, when you said, let's get into I just started your time because I thought you was going. You was just waiting on to add your presentation. So,
Okay. All right. Let me just redo my. I'm keeping track of my own time too. So let me just reset that.
Okay. I got you at 11 minutes and 53 seconds.
All right. So again, let's deal with the Texas sharpshooter fallacy because my man Pots and Pans 50 grand Taz basically is trying to limit what it means to support Jim Crow. And that's when we get into the Texas sharpshooter fallacy. It occurs when after the data is collected, a specific cluster or pattern is cherry picked to support a predetermined conclusion. So what he's doing is, well, if Marcus Garvey doesn't support the denigration of black people, then he can't support Jim Crow. That's false. There's other tenets of Jim Crow, like I mentioned in my opener. When I mentioned anti-miscegenation, racial purity, those are all tenets of Jim Crow. Separation is tenets of Jim Crow. So you are guilty of the Texas sharpshooter fallacy and also the false dilemma fallacy. Now let's get into the presentation. As you guys can see here, I'm going to go to slideshow, then presenter view. And Lucifer versus Taz, did Marcus Garvey support Jim Crow? I will obviously be arguing the affirmative. So now we're going to go to the Merriam-Webster dictionary to define what does it mean to support. To promote the interests or cause of, especially by action or aid. We're going to prove without a shadow of a doubt that my man Pots and Pans, Marcus Garvey, actually did do that. He promoted the Jim Crow segregationists. He promoted their literature. He promoted their laws of racial purity and hypodescent. That's where you get the one drop rule from. He agreed with it. He agreed with anti-miscegenation laws, which is all Jim Crow, to uphold or defend as valid or right. He saw no issue with a white America. He saw no issue with Jim Crow cars and separation in public spaces. He even said it out of his own mouth. He defended it. Therefore, Marcus Garvey emphatically supported Jim Crow. Here's his quote here. This is a white man's country. He found it. He conquered it. And we can't blame him if he wants to keep it. I am not vexed. This is his defense for Jim Crow. I am not vexed with the white man of the South for Jim Crowing me because I am black. I never built any streetcars or railroads. The white man built them for his own convenience. And if I don't want to ride where he's willing to let me ride, then I better walk. That's your boy, Marcus Garvey. You can see the source on the bottom of the screen, African-American anti-colonial thought, page 226. So Garvey supporting Jim Crow is very clear when you study this. Garvey also tried to engage with the Ku Klux Klan and other white supremacists. Now, you're not going to sit up here and convince these people that the Ku Klux Klan and white supremacists were not pro-Jim Crow. He engaged with them. He agreed with them. He supported them. Let's keep reading. Believing they would support his intent to create a separate nation for black people. Garvey's remarks were extremely provocative and included thanking white people for Jim Crow laws. Thanking white people for Jim Crow laws, once saying, I regard the Klan, the Anglo-Saxon clubs, and white American societies, as far as the Negro is concerned, as better friends of the race than all other groups of hypocritical whites put together. Every white man is a Klansman as far as the Negro in competition with whites socially, economically, and politically is concerned, and there is no use in lying. Because of this, many rejected his ideas and opted for Du Bois' integrated approach in promoting civil rights. All of my sources are on the bottom, as you guys can see. Several facts detail how Garvey was controversial in his activism, including being a controversial figure within the black community. He believed in racial separation. This is a tenet of Jim Crow, racial separation, contradicting major black leaders like W.E.B. Du Bois, and his comments seem to thank white supremacists for enacting Jim Crow laws that encourage racial segregation. This led some black leaders and writers like Du Bois to describe him as the most dangerous enemy of the black community in America and globally. So it's very clear here that this man was controversial in his time period because of his support of the tenets of Jim Crow. You cannot Texas sharpshooter your way out of this debate. You cannot say, well, people that advocate for Jim Crow hate black people. Does Marcus Garvey hate black people? That's a false dilemma, false dichotomy. We're clearly showing that the tenets of Jim Crow was supported by Garvey. So here's the book, That Blood Stay Pure by Erica L. Coleman, and she brings this fact to the light as well. Garvey's support of repatriation and racial purity was a breath of fresh air to the Virginia trio. Despite the fact that Garvey was serving a 5-year sentence in a federal prison for mail fraud, the trio clung to their black nationalist friend with unshakable resolve. Garvey spoke their language. What's the language of these people? Jim Crow. They believe in segregation. They believe in anti-miscegenation. They didn't believe that two races should mix. And Garvey was on board with them, and they was on board with Garvey. This is support. He's showing his aid. He's showing his defense. He's upholding these ideals. Garvey further demonstrated his support. Garvey further demonstrated his support for the racial integrity cause by sending his wife, Amy Garvey, to Richmond, Virginia. On August 14, 1925, Mrs. Garvey spoke to a mixed audience on the importance of maintaining racial integrity. Clear support for Jim Crow, clear support of the tenets of Jim Crow. That's all you're going to hear today, fellas. This is going to be a short one. Then you can go watch the Seattle Seahawks spank the Patriots like I'm spanking them right now. She also visited the Virginia's Office of Vital Statistics to assure Plecker of the UNIA's firm support of the cause. Keyword, support. So when we ask the question of the night, of the day, did Marcus Garvey support Jim Crow? Hell yeah, he supported Jim Crow. The favor was returned in October 1925 when Powell paid Garvey a personal visit at the Atlanta prison while in the city to promote racial integrity legislation for the state of Georgia. Also, Cox, Powell, and Plecker wrote individual letters to President Calvin Coolidge requesting that Garvey receive an immediate pardon. They believe that the case against their black comrade, they call him a comrade, they are in cahoots together, they support each other, was a conspiracy conjured up by mulattoes.
5 minutes.
Garvey's Back to Africa efforts. The mulattoes the trio spoke of, no doubt, referred to what Garvey identified as the race enemy. He's using their same talking points. The National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. They are seeking to build up a mongrel America. While the RIA did not address the issue of repatriation, the Virginia trio found plenty of support for it among white separatists, but to their surprise, they also found ready allies among black nationalists, namely Marcus Garvey. Debate over, another body for the Catholic Cathedral. Again, they find support, namely Marcus Garvey and his Universal Negro Improvement Association. Garvey, a transplant from Kingston, Jamaica, came to the United States in 1916. And they give the backdrop here about him preaching black pride and black self-reliance. And he also spoke disparagingly of mulattoes, which is also a concept that comes from Jim Crow. His rhetoric echoed that of white Virginians, which we know were ardent supporters of Jim Crow, as he cautioned his followers that mulattoes would prove the downfall of efforts toward black liberation by creating a caste system where light-skinned blacks would rule over dark-skinned blacks. Garvey therefore admonished his followers to insist in a campaign of race purity. He's promoting Jim Crow ideology, race purity, that is doing everything moral and social within the race and close ranks against all other races. It is natural that it's a disgrace to mix your race with other races. This is all Jim Crow talk here. We brought out that Garvey regarded the Klan as better friends. He literally supported them, friends, ones we can depend on, friends before you go any further. He literally called these people friends. He's literally in bed with these people, the Anglo-Saxon clubs, the white American societies. He's in bed with the Klan. And these guys are ardent supporters of Jim Crow. And so was Garvey, as we just read. So is Garvey, we just read. Garvey also tried to engage the Ku Klux Klan and other white supremacists, believing they would support his intent to create a separate nation for black people. Garvey's remarks were extremely provocative, including the thanking of white people. Jim Crow laws once said, I regard Klan and the Anglo-Saxons. So I had to remind you that. We read that earlier, but recapitulation is important. To address his point, I came prepared for this today, that laws are not, the Jim Crowism isn't limited to just one component, which he keeps trying to do. And I'm going to read it from the Oxford Handbook of African American Citizenship, 1865 to present, page number 65. That laws, can I get my time? Let me check my time real quick. 2 minutes. That laws are not an adequate index or extent in prevalence of segregation and discriminatory practice in the South. The practice is often anticipated and sometimes exceeded the laws. It may be confidently assumed that there is more Jim Crowism practiced in the South than there are Jim Crow laws on the book. So we can't limit Jim Crow to just one component. There's several components, and he fit many of them as far as it regards to segregation and anti-miscegenation and racial purity and hypo descent, as we've been reading this whole time. 5 facts to reveal the true nature and character of Marcus Garvey. How much time? I got 1 minute and 30 seconds. So basically, he says he's not vexed about the white man Jim Crowing him. We read that already, but I just wanted to recapitulate that. He literally upheld that in that speech in New Orleans circa 1922, same speech. Marcus Garvey supports Jim Crow because Jim Crow ideology is basically the template he used to create his movement. Jim Crow supporters agree with separation of race, racial hierarchy, racial essentialism, and racial purity. These are all the things that were baked into what we now know as the UNIA and the Marcus Garvey or Garveyism movement that was created and spurred by him and others is very clear. With Marcus Garvey, who led perhaps the largest mass African-American movement to date, advocating for separatism. The same book, Oxford Handbook of African-American Citizenship, is very clear that he was an advocate and he was an ardent supporter. Less flattering aspects of Garvey's career were passed over in silence, including his alliance with the Ku Klux Klan and Jim Crow segregationists. Alliance, this is support. His self-proclaimed attraction to fascism and his anti-Semitism. By the 1920s, he found himself in cooperation with Jim Crow politicians in the Ku Klux Klan who agreed with black nationalism policy for racial separatism. By the end of his life, Garvey boasted he was a fascist. We know Jim Crow is fascism. It's the government trying to force people by their race to be separate in all aspects of life, including in the marriage bed.
And that is time. Great first round for Lucifer, aka the franchise. Let me remove your presentation. All right, we got Taz the GOAT ready for his first round. Let me bring your presentation up. Taz, let me ask you, I gave Lucifer a 5-minute warning. Do you want a 5-minute warning or a 2-minute warning?
2.
All right. Time will start. Hey, Lucifer, you weren't about to say nothing, was you?
No, my mic was muted. All
right, cool. All right. Time will start when you're ready, Taz.
All right, cool. So, as I left you with in my opening, Jim Crow was a reaction to Reconstruction with the goal of enforcing white supremacy. So we have to understand coming through the door that this is about white supremacy. So Jim Crow was an institution created to lock blacks out of wealth. It was created to separate us from the wealth, segregate us from the wealth. Marcus Garvey ideology is not about standing next to white people. It's literally about moving on and doing our own thing, getting away from the idea of a Jim Crow, of a America, of falling underneath white people in any way, shape, or form. So it's nonsensical to even attempt to try to say Marcus Garvey supported Jim Crow when he was literally fighting to get away from Jim Crow, out of Jim Crow, because he said we're better than Jim Crow. But we're going to go through and talk about what Jim Crow actually was. The true tenets of Jim Crow. One would be public segregation. Restaurants, water fountains, restrooms, waiting rooms, trains, buses, theaters, all of these things are already segregated before Marcus Garvey ever arrives to America. So he's coming into this situation. He's not creating it. Number two, education was set out to be inferior for Black people. It's underfunded. Our facilities are not as good as white facilities. There are less resources. It's pretty clear that separate but equal is not going to work by the time Marcus Garvey arrives in America. So if we have to look at this for what it is, we have to take the history and say, okay, voting rights in terms of that conversation. Well, that's another tenet of Jim Crow. What they instituted were poll taxes, literacy tests, and grandfather
clauses. I stopped your time at 10 minutes and 11 seconds. I don't know if it's audience. Let me know if Taz volume seemed like it went down. Put a 1.
Yo. Is it down?
His voice did drop. Your voice dropped mid sentence.
Okay, I just didn't. Okay, cool. Because I wanted to make sure you was being heard.
I don't know. Ain't no telling what that was. I didn't do nothing. Am I cool now?
You sound good now. So I'm gonna start you back. Time is at 10 minutes, 11 seconds.
Okay, cool. All right, so as I was saying, voting rights would be a third tenet of Jim Crow, and that was poll taxes, literacy tests, and the grandfather clauses that were instituted to prevent Black people from exercising their right to vote. Because again, these are rights that Black people have. Unfortunately, they're being held back from them, which is the goal of the Jim Crow laws. The number 4 goal of the Jim Crow laws were economic control and the justice system being under control of whites. So this is how you got an unfair convict leasing system that was detrimental to Black people. You got restricted employments for Black people. You have unequal public facilities. And like I said, there's a restriction on economic progress for Black people. So going through the door, we have to understand that Marcus Garvey literally goes against all of that. Right? We can start with East St. Louis and the riots that happened there. When the East St. Louis massacre happens and Black people need a voice to speak out against the harsh issues of Jim Crow, who speaks out? Marcus Garvey. So when we speak of the issues and the times when Black people need to protect themselves the most to go against the grain, go against this white man, go against this system, it's Marcus Garvey who's putting in his newspaper that Black people need to be prepared to protect themselves at all times because the white man is out to get you. It wasn't cap, it wasn't fake, it was real. He used East St. Louis as a way to point to not only that happening, but the system itself actually supporting white people when they do it. Proving that point was the mayor in East St. Louis getting indicted and end up being removed, something that Marcus Garvey called out, which is why in East St. Louis today, you can find a mile marker that supports Marcus Garvey. He's someone who actually stood on business in a time of racial hatred against Black people, right? But let's deal with some of the quotes. He said the East St. Louis riot was not a local or American incident, but the first shot in a worldwide racial struggle, right? Because he understood that it was real and it was coming. He said for every Negro lynched by whites in the South, we should lynch a white in the North. See what I'm saying? That's not supporting Jim Crow. So I don't understand where this logic comes from. The man who went out and said, hey man, Black people, y'all shouldn't be participating in World War I. They are trying to mistreat the soldiers. They ain't gonna pay y'all the same. They're gonna keep you in segregated units. They're gonna put you on the front line. He condemned Blacks even participating, and then once they decided to participate, he condemns those who are being segregated in the military. So everything that Marcus Garvey is fighting for is for the race. What we need to understand is Marcus Garvey has his own goals. Marcus Garvey's goals are to take Black people forward, which is why he creates a flag for Black people to take pride in. Because in America, you only have one flag, the American flag. But he gave Black people a flag to separate yourselves from your American experience if you're experiencing the type of things that are happening in America in the early 1900s, right? So let's understand when we're talking about supporting Jim Crow, that's not getting together a parade and bringing out the entire community to watch Black people stand up in pride and say, look at what we're doing. Look at how much we're doing. Look at what we're doing in our community. We're opening up businesses. We're doing the best we can. And well, we got some haters on the side. People like W.E.B. Du Bois, who just has an opposite strategy. And so, yes, Garvey's fighting against some of these people. They're going back and forth because some don't like Garvey's strategy. But Garvey's strategy centers around building our own. He doesn't trust the white man. With that, he doesn't trust Jim Crow. So understand the foundation of the argument that I'm making is Garvey's only fighting against Black Americans because they don't agree with his strategy. He's not trying to align with white people. He's actually going against what white people say. Because if we actually look at some Jim Crow laws themselves, Black people weren't supposed to be gathering like this. Marcus Garvey is going to places and inciting people, telling people you got rights, telling people that if you don't stand up against this white man, what's going to happen to you? So again, you have to look at Garvey in his attempt to motivate Black people through business, through speeches, through things that Black people had never seen argue from anybody in America at this point. So as they attempt to undermine Black people, Marcus Garvey says it's not going to help. It's not going to happen. But he also starts to realize that we're not going to win here in America. So maybe it's time to leave. Maybe we need to get up out of here. And this is where we get into the conversation of the Back to Africa movement, which is, again, to get away from Jim Crow. How are you supporting Jim Crow but saying you want to leave here? That makes no sense whatsoever. But again, we're not going to be intimidated. If you're going to stay, at least stay and fight, right? At least stay and fight. And so as Garvey is saying, hey, listen, fam, we've got to protect ourselves. Stop playing. What happens? Well, a memo comes out from the FBI, a man by the name of J. Edgar Hoover, on the same day, mind you, October 11th, 1919. A memo comes out and he says, well, we got to get on top of this, man. We got to watch him, right? So this is where this so-called supporter of Jim Crow now becomes one of the most dangerous people in America, because as they're watching him, now they got to watch him bring 20,000 people to New York City. Now we got to watch them smack Jim Crow in the face as 20,000 Black people parade through New York City and flex and show that the white man ain't the only ones that can march. The Klan ain't the only ones that can put people together. Marcus Garvey, in his speech, he says, this convention of the UNIA is called for the purposes of framing a Bill of Rights for the Negro race. We shall write a constitution within this month of August that shall guide and govern the destiny of our 400 million Negroes of the world. He's speaking for everybody. Okay. So to say he supports Jim Crow is asinine. He supports Black people. Do you see it? Do you understand? I'm trying to make sure we understand that this is what this man was actually doing. Focuses on speeches that points out the discriminatory conditions, right? And in this, he applies the Declaration of Rights to the Negro people of the world. In this document, he says that on public conveyances and common carriers in the southern portion of the United States, we are Jim Crow. Again, using Jim Crow in the negative context that it is. So while you may not like Marcus Garvey, you may not agree with some of the methods he took to say that he supported Jim Crow as asinine. He said, we are here because we are tired of being suffering people. We are here because we desire our liberty. We believe that all those human rights that are common to the rest of mankind should be enjoyed by us. That's not saying we accept Jim Crow. That's not saying I agree with these white people. In fact, Marcus Garvey went out of his way again through business to promote Black being beautiful, not diminishing Blackness like Jim Crow would have liked you to wanted you to have done. So, for example, again, you got these dolls that were being sold in the 1920s, a whole movement of dolls, because they had these pickaninnies and ugly dolls that they were making Black people look like. Marcus Garvey starts a business and says, I'll create beautiful Black dolls. With that, you have a Black is Beautiful movement. You have Marcus Garvey starting a security force, a paramilitary, the African Legion. They had never seen Black men working together to this degree. Walking together down the street, armed, ready, daring somebody to do something. That's not Jim Crow. Speaking of Jim Crow.
2 minutes. 2 minutes.
Speaking of Jim Crow, you got Black women during Jim Crow having the ability to work under Marcus Garvey again in his female auxiliary unit, the Universal African Motor Corps. Not just there, but also the Black Cross nurses. Marcus Garvey did major things to smack faces of white people. Jim Crow. Jim Crow was not supported by anyone black in the UNIA. They all went against it. Marcus Garvey's wife is writing for the newspaper. The newspaper itself goes against the idea of Jim Crow. So understand that when I'm arguing that Jim Crow is a set of laws, yes, it is. And Marcus Garvey went against all of them. He went against all of the foundations and ideologies in that. At the second UNIA convention, he says, I repeat, I warn the white world against the prejudice they are practicing against Negroes. I warn them against the segregation and injustice they mete out to us, for the perpetuation of these things will mean the ultimate destruction of the present civilization and the building up of a new civilization founded upon mercy, justice, and equality. Because again, he understood that white people did not have to be cool with us. We are on their landmass because it's more of them than us. So Marcus Garvey, not being from America, he thinks the best thing to do is to go to Africa. But that makes him the most dangerous man in the world, according to the BOI. I'm trying to understand where this is some support of Jim Crow. It makes no logical sense. So now we're all the way in 19. How much time I got left? How much time I got left, bro?
20 seconds.
20 seconds. So now we've made it all the way up to 1922. And so with this, I'm trying to understand where there is a Jim Crow support for Marcus Garvey, because at this point, he's going to prison. So there is no support for Jim Crow here. There's no argument to be made for that. I'll see whatever time I got left.
All right. You had about 3 seconds left, something around there. Great first rounds for both of these powerful combatants. I'm going to remove Taz's presentation. Family, in case you didn't see the message, those who are watching on Paradigm Shift, the Paradigm Shift stream is about to end. Click the link in the chat to go over to Worldview Wars Debate League. That's our new channel where these debates will be taking place until we get those numbers up and subscribers over there. We're going to start the streams over here, and y'all can join us over there. For those who watching on Taz's channel, y'all already know y'all can stay put. But for those watching on Paradigm Shift, the link is in the chat. Come on over to Worldview Wars Debate League. We're going to reset the time. Let's see. Time is reset for 12 minutes. Jashub is back on you, my friend. Time will start. When you start, you want a 5-minute warning or a 2-minute warning?
5 minutes, fine. And can you put my screen up? Time to rebuttal. This is the rebuttal round. VM, let's get it.
All right. Time starts when you start.
All right. So first thing we're going to do is address a fallacy that he used in this entire round. This debate is going to be very easy because I use argumentation from documents and articles showing that he had clear support for not only Jim Crow laws. Jim Crowisms is not limited to laws. And what he did was what I told you in the first round he would do, which is Texas sharpshooter. He's trying to circle a few things and say, did Marcus Garvey hate black people? Well, people that do Jim Crow, they hate black people. This is an appeal to an emotion fallacy because he knows his audience. You're emotional. You're not worried about the information. I gave you slide after slide after slide showing that he was complicit and in complete support of the Virginia trio, the legislatures, the Jim Crow itself, saying the white man has a right to Jim Crow him. He literally said that. And this man came up here and tried to pull a rabbit out of a hat on y'all, to trick and deceive y'all. And his presentation was a bunch of pictures, and we were not even citing and reading directly from sources. So I guess that's how your brothers debate. But anyway, the appeal of emotion and fallacy occurs when someone substitutes strong, irrelevant emotions, such as fear, pity, pride, or anger, for actual evidence to support a claim or win an argument. All he did was, look, he's not dealing with these white people that were so mean to black people. He's not saying that, well, he created black dolls. I got it all written here. He didn't create segregation. I'm sorry, Taz. The argument is not whether or not did Marcus Garvey invent segregation. You also brought up, the education system being segregated and the origin of it has nothing to do with him. You brought up poll taxes and literacy. Again, Texas sharpshooter. a false dichotomy. The answer to this debate, does Marcus Garvey support Jim Crow? That does not just hinge on, oh, does he hate black people? No, I told you he would do this at the face-off, and he's doing it in real time. There's many tenets of Jim Crow. Some of the core tenets is segregation. And as I proved in my first round, without a shadow of a doubt, he was in clear allegiance with segregation, in support of segregation. That's why I defined what support meant. He upheld and defended it. He was in clear allegiance with racial integrity. He was in clear allegiance with it. He said if the white man want to keep America white, that's his right. That's his right. He supported it. He defended it. What are we talking about? And then you brought up a mile marker for what? That was non sequitur. You brought up, oh, he was against lynching, but he also met with the KKK and said, we cannot fight the white man. We should not do anything to them. He also said that as well when he met Edward Clark. What are we talking about? The black dolls, all that was red herrings, non sequitur. You were barely on topic. This is from your slide here, and this was basically Japanese ritual suicide. You stabbed yourself in the stomach and you are now bleeding out. Jim Crow was instituted to segregate blacks and to lock us out of wealth. Question for the panel. Was Marcus Garvey complicit in his support of separation? The answer is emphatically yes. You just submitted the debate. Marcus Garvey wanted separation. You just submitted the debate. This was your first slide. Why do y'all keep doing this when you debate Lucifer? I'm the light bearer, the light bringer. I'm elucidating. Y'all living in darkness. Why y'all keep doing this, man? Y'all do it to yourselves. And I could bring up the other slides you put, but this was the most poignant. This was the most important. But this is the level of scholarship that I'm dealing with. You also brought this up. He was spreading black pride during Jim Crow. This is a red herring. So what? That does not mean he did not support Jim Crow. That does not mean anything. And this was the level of your slides. A picture, a few words, and that's it. Meanwhile, I'm giving you the documentation, articles, and citations to where my arguments are coming from. So that was all. That concludes my notes. Very light round for my man Pots and Pans Taz. But that's not how we do it in the cathedral, bro. That's not how we do it. So let me go back to my handy dandy PowerPoint here. Let me see how much time I got left. Make sure I'm on point. You on point, Fife? All the time, Tip. You see what I'm saying? So again, just to reiterate, the word support means to promote the interest or cause of, especially by action or aid, and we literally showed that in the first round. To uphold or defend as a valid or right, Marcus Garvey came out of his own mouth and defended Jim Crow laws. He said the white man has a right to Jim Crow. Again, just to remind you guys, this is a white man's country. He founded. This is him speaking in New Orleans. He conquered it, and we can't blame him if he wants to keep it. I'm not vexed with the white man of the South for Jim Crow and me because I'm black. I never built any streetcars or railroads. The white man built them for his own convenience. And if I don't want to ride where he's willing to let me ride, then I better walk. That's Marcus Josiah Garvey. That's his words. And again, academic source on the bottom, Edinburgh University Press. That's how you do it, right? Let's go back to where we left off at. I really don't have to go to new material here because at the end of the day, I read this to you. I read this to you about him being allies to people that were ardent Jim Crow supporters. What are we talking about? The Virginia Trio, where he found plenty of support, and Marcus Garvey supported them in their endeavors and their lawmaking on race purity and the hypo descent and the one drop rule. Garvey embraced it and endorsed it. What are we talking about? Trying to limit what Jim Crow is pseudo. You are a pseudo. All right. And I already told you guys the laws are not an adequate index or extent to it, so we can't just limit it to that. Jim Crowism is broader than that. And again, the tenets were agreed upon by Garvey. So we left off on slide 14. We brought out that he found himself in cooperation with Jim Crow politicians and the Ku Klux Klan. That's literally showing support. The Virginia racist trio, Ernest Cox, he was a eugenist and a race scientist. He agreed with him. He supported his cause. Walker Plecker, state registrar of Virginia. He supported, again, the law of hypo descent, the one drop rule. John Powell, the pianist, supported the Anglo-Saxon club founder, Ernest Cox. Garvey himself compared the UNIA to the KKK, which is like a military arm of goddamn Jim Crow. He literally compared the UNIA to them. He said the attitude of the Universal Negro Improvement Association is in a way similar to the Ku Klux Klan. Whilst the Ku Klux Klan desires to make America absolutely a white man's country, the Universal Negro Improvement Association wants to make Africa absolutely a black man's country. And the sources on the bottom, Edinburgh University Press. Let's get it. Again, just to remind y'all what support is: to promote the interest or cause or especially by action of aid to uphold or defend a valid right. Indeed, by the early 1920s, Garvey was pronouncing himself not only an opponent of social and political integration for blacks, but an ardent supporter of Jim Crow itself. This was on display in 1921 when Garvey took another tour of the American South. It was during this period that he made an extraordinary decision to meet with the KKK and conclude an alliance. Alliance means to support. To have an ally means to support. In the article, it literally says ardent supporter of Jim Crow itself. The man said he had no problem with the white man dominating the South and telling them what they can and cannot ride on and where they can and cannot go, because he didn't build it. None of his people built it. That was his rationale. He defended Jim Crow, therefore he supported it. Stop playing with me. Edward Clark, the second in command of the KKK, was so impressed after reading one of Garvey's speeches praising Jim Crow that he requested a face-to-face meeting with the remarkable leader. On June 25, 1922, Garvey held a 2-hour meeting with Clark in the KKK's Atlanta office. Garvey's notes on the meeting reveal how the demigod portrayed the policy of compliance and conformity as policy of triumph. What are we talking about? Garvey was in bed with these dudes. The encounter between Garvey and Clark revealed the basis of their mutual pact. It was Garvey's support for racial separation, which my opponent admitted to in his first fucking slide. VM! What are we talking about? It is rejection of the struggle for equality that ingratiated him with the KKK. Klan members even began to attend UNIA meetings. Who would have thunk it? Garvey called the Klan and other white supremacist groups better friends of his race, citing their honesty and fair play. He concluded, "You may call me a Klansman if you will." Walk away from the fucking computer. What am I talking about here? You got pictures, I got words. I got the articles, nigga. In 1924, Garvey began a close relationship with Jim Crow segregationist Ernest Cox, the author of White America, a volume that argued that race mixing would mark the end of white civilization. To solve the problem of missegregation, which is a Jim Crow tenet, his book proposed to remove all people, because he kept bringing this up. White people believe that too. That was a tenet of Jim Crow too. Repatriation is a tenet of Jim Crow. Because in his book, Ernest Cox, White America, he proposed to remove all people of African descent from the U.S. And this is a Jim Crow segregationist. The pair became close collaborators. This is support, with Garvey endorsing White America and demanding his members become its biggest promoters. Support. UNIA adherents sold an astonishing 17,000 copies of the book in Detroit alone, enduring Garvey to Cox. Source on the bottom of the goddamn street. Mr. Powell and his organization sympathize with us, even as we sympathize with them. I feel and believe that we, the two organizations, should work together for the purpose of bringing about the ideal sought, the purification of the races. Jim Crow tenet. Their autonomous separation. Jim Crow tenet. Marcus Garvey was in the bed with this. And the unbridled freedom of self-development and self-expression. Those who are against this are enemies of both races and rebel against morality, nature, and God for acting to the contrary. No good or ethical purpose can be served, but a continuation of world confusion, immorality, and sin. That's your man, pots and pans right there. Watch this. Mr. Powell represents a body of men and women for whom I maintain the greatest respect because of their honesty and lack of hypocrisy. They represent the clean-cut and honest section of the white race that uncompromisingly stands for the purity of their race, and even as we unhesitatingly and determinedly agitate and fight for the purity of the Negro race. It's your boy Marcus Garvey, man. Straight from the Negro world, by the way. It says, I unhesitatingly endorse the race purity idea of Mr. Powell. He said he supports it. What are you talking about? I unhesitatingly endorse the race purity idea of Mr. Powell and his organization, and I have pledged my moral support to their program in that direction, expecting of the honorable and honest of his race the same regard and support for ours. Who said Marcus Garvey didn't support Jim Crow? He was in bed with the fuckers. And you ain't on my motherfucking level, nigga. You just lost to the motherfucking devil, nigga. Free him.
That is time. All right. Taz, I no longer. Oh, there you go. I was about to say, I don't see your presentation no more.
You niggas not worthy, nigga. That's on the Catholic
Let me
clergy.
add Taz presentation. Lucifer, mute out for us. Reset the clock at 12 minutes. Taz, time will start when you start, my brother.
Yeah, so I don't know what his understanding is of separation and segregation, right? But I think he's having a hard time understanding that white people don't control black people's ability to separate. So Marcus Garvey can totally say, I'd like to separate without that having anything to do with what the tenets of Jim Crow are. It's almost like he doesn't understand that black people can make decisions without white people having anything to do with it. So, I mean, I understand where he's coming from, but he's just wrong. So again, I'm just trying to help him because in what he was just presenting, he said, and again, I know he was spazzing out, so, you know, he might have forgot that he said it, but he said Marcus Garvey was complicit in the separation. Now, again, I tried to lay out how when Marcus Garvey arrived, the Jim Crow process was already in the works. He did not do anything to create the issues. The issues were there when he arrived. And so he's been in America 5 years when he says, hey, if you're tired of being abused, misrepresented, Jim Crowed and lynched, burned at the stake and persecuted, get up and go do something for yourself, right? This is in a time where black people are traveling up north. They're traveling up north trying to get closer to jobs and opportunities. No, they're not ready to repatriate to Africa, but they're certainly leaving the South. So why would Marcus Garvey meet the Klan? Well, one simple reason for that, again, is the Klan is right there in the midst of all of these people migrating to the North. So you cannot ignore the benefit in talking to the Klan when, in fact, they are a threat to every black person that attempts to migrate. Maybe he does not understand that part of history because this is the time when the Klan grew the most. And so let's talk about that actual meeting because he's not giving context. So when Edward Young Clark, the Imperial Wizard Knight of the Klan, met with Marcus Garvey, he denied any hostility toward the UNIA. He stated that Negroes should have a country of their own in Africa, and he denied that his Klan attacked any black people. So while you're just throwing around the Klan, make sure you understand that they didn't say nothing crazy to Garvey. They ain't want no smoke, which is why he was man enough to walk in there. This is after saying that potentially every white man is a Klansman as far as the Negro in competition. So again, we understand why Marcus Garvey went to go meet the Klan. It wasn't for some benefit to the Klan. These things benefit us. As Marcus Garvey is benefiting us by meeting with the Klan and you seeing black people travel up north, you're ignoring the grand benefit of that, which goes to black people having something to stand on. Black people having that pride that Marcus Garvey is still fighting for that you're ignoring, right? The conversation of Marcus Garvey does not just simply center around him doing dirt, him doing this, him doing that. I'm not saying that. What I'm telling you is what he was actually doing. He brought black faces to religion, something that maybe you wouldn't understand why that would be important during Jim Crow. But if we understand what you're arguing, Jim Crowism, well, then that means it's bigger than law. That means it's bigger than everything, right? Although the debate you're showing does not show that, right? According to what I just looked up to give you a definition, since you didn't describe Jim Crowism, it's the systemic state-sponsored racial caste system that I defined in my opening, primarily in the South, 1870s to 1960s, like my opening said, enforced by laws and customs that mandated strict segregation, like I said, disenfranchising us, like I said. So again, while you're throwing around the term, that doesn't mean you get to use random quotes to make yourself correct. No, I'm correct. The UNIA being created during the Jim Crow era is an accomplishment. So if you're going to say Garvey supported Jim Crow, you would need to show me something. You would need to show me Jim Crow cars and skin bleaching and race mixing and white Jesus and all of the things that Marcus Garvey did not support. And maybe you don't agree with Pan-Africanism, self-reliance, racial pride, Black Americans protecting themselves, economic independence. Maybe you disagree with all that. But I'm telling you, that don't have nothing to do with no white man. No white man don't determine how we think. That for some reason he determines how you think. Marcus Garvey said we need our own trains, our own cars, our own everything. We don't need to ride next to nobody. We don't need no Jim Crow. They don't need to control nothing. We need to create our own so we control everything. Forget being segregated. Let's just separate. They ain't dictating the terms of that, according to Garvey's argument. I don't know what this dude's talking about. So again, understanding that Jim Crow is there to undermine Blacks while Marcus Garvey is an entrepreneur undermining Jim Crow, it makes no logical sense for you to say he supported Jim Crow. His very existence as the businessman that he was undermines Jim Crow. And make sure you understand that even the people that came and joined him in the UNIA were benefiting from it. He did establish death benefits for the family after the person died, because the UNIA was not just about saving white people or getting next to white people or helping white people. It really was about Black people. It really was about bringing the race forward, not needing white people to do so. So his intent to create a separate nation that you acknowledged in your debate, that should tell you that it's perfectly fine then to create it the way you want to create it. Not the way that this America is already created, but the way you like to see it created. So again, Marcus Garvey is quoted as saying, our success educates the Negro out of the thought that he can beg and supplicate his way into consideration of other races and people. That's what people wanted him to do. That's why so many people was against him, because he was saying we can do it our way. We don't have to go along with the flow. And some people did trust and believe him because he was making stuff happen. He's making stuff happen all over the place. He ain't in Milwaukee when they set out to create the first chapter of the Black Star Cross Nurses. He's not there. But that's all being done because he's pushing the race forward. And like he's arguing, a race that is solely dependent on another for economic existence sooner or later will die. So while you're saying these things about he met with a white man, yeah, he met with the white man for the benefit of the Black man. It wasn't to benefit no white man. And are you saying he was supposed to be so cowardly that he could not meet with a white man? What he got to be scared of a white man for? It's telling Black people, hey, fam, forget what these white people talking about. We can build our own. The same way that they got a railroad system, we can have one too. You telling me that that's supporting Jim Crow? I don't think you have a fundamental understanding of Jim Crow if you think so. Again, you can go to the philosophies and opinions of Marcus Garvey and see for over 300 years, the white man has been our oppressor. Do you think in this moment he's supporting Jim Crow? He says he naturally is not going to liberate us to a higher freedom. Is saying that supporting Jim Crow? I need to understand when Marcus Garvey says we need to liberate ourselves. How do you conflate that with Jim Crow? When he says we need to liberate ourselves, that's his version of separation. Not no white man version, not no Jim Crow, and not whatever you're trying to establish in this debate. It's nonsense. So to keep bringing people up would make no logical sense. But I can help you with that, because some of these people may have something they agree with Garvey on, but it's not Jim Crow. Racial purity, that ain't Jim Crow. You can have an idea of racial purity today with no Jim Crow. You have to understand what you're arguing, and I don't think he does. I think he just simply looks at Garvey's statements runs with them and has no understanding of what it is that Garvey was actually standing on. And so again, when we come back to Marcus Garvey and the arguments made by him, well, right here, he read it. Marcus Garvey believed that the only way to fight racism for blacks was to become economically independent. Well, how do you do that if you keep being dependent on the white man? That's going to keep you in Jim Crow, according to Garvey's ideology. It's on his own slide. It goes on to read, the only avenue to black economic independence, Garvey asserted, was repatriation to Africa. So even he's telling you on his slide that no, Garvey's not saying let's stay here and support Jim Crow. Even in his slides, he's acknowledging that Marcus Garvey's end goal is to get you out of Jim Crow, even if it means leaving this nation. So he did not trust the white man, according to what he said in his opening. He clearly understood Marcus Garvey's philosophy in regard to the white man, but for some reason, he got lost in his own argumentation because he cannot figure out how one can have the sentiment of separation outside of the white man's ideology of segregation. And I'm arguing you absolutely can. You do not need the white man to explain to you how he wants you segregated for you to come up with the idea that you need to separate from his system. That is not a tenet of Jim Crow. That is logical thinking. So to apply logical thinking to somehow Jim Crow or Jim Crow ideology or Jim Crow thought process is asinine. Again, like I explained, yes, Du Bois' integrated approach went against Garvey's approach. When you said Garvey saw no issue with Jim Crow cars, that's nonsense. Because again, I'm explaining that Garvey's saying we need our own cars. You can't ignore my entire debate and then try to make it seem like I didn't say these things. And so again, you can't ignore Garvey went to prison during the Jim Crow era. Garvey literally went to prison. So if Garvey goes to prison, how is that in support of a Jim Crow that would say he wouldn't go to prison? He would be an agent. He would be out here working. He would be out here undermining people. No, they sent him to prison and deported him. Why would someone who is so in support of Jim Crow, so backing the white man, so in favor of what he has going on, why they got to get him out of here? Why he got to be silenced? Why would they have to deport him? Why would he need to go to prison in the first place? Why would he have been investigated? The arguments you're making don't come together. They're not cohesive because when you say they had mutual interest, is to get away from each other. Is that my time?
You got 3 seconds. I stopped your time.
I'm good, man.
All right. We reset the clock to 12 minutes. This is everybody's favorite part of the Worldview Wars Debate League, formerly the Versus Series. This is the chin check session. This is where one individual has 12 minutes to ask their opponent as many questions as they can within that time frame. It is the person asking the questions' job to manage their time. They do have up to 3 timeouts. They have 3 opportunities to stop their time. If their opponent tries to stall or it starts to get stagnant, it becomes another round of the debate, etc. Also, if it gets too stagnant, I will step in and ask the person asking the questions to ask the question, and the other, his opponent or her opponent, to simply answer the question, and then we move on that way. But I try to let the two of them check each other chin. My question this will start with Taz asking Joshua questions. Since Taz went second in the round section, he'll go first in the chin check session. But I got a question to both of you gentlemen. I have to step away, pay a water bill. Y'all want me to play some music while I'm gone, or do y'all want to start with the understanding that I won't be here to stop the clock or to get involved in any way?
I got my own clock, DMG. I've been timing myself, so it's up to Taz. I'm good with it.
I don't need no clock. We good.
Well, I can start the clock. I just wouldn't be here for a timeout.
Yeah, it don't matter. He gonna run anyway.
All right, I'm gonna step away, but I'll be right back. Time is at 12 minutes. Time will start when you start asking questions, Taz.
All right, first question. So do you have any examples of a Jim Crow law that Marcus Garvey supported?
Yes. The law of hypodescent. He emphatically supported the law of hypodescent.
Well,
and I even showed him.
I'm asking specifically about a state law, a federal law.
That is a state law. The law of hypodescent, the one drop rule.
Okay, where's the
That's a state law?
Where
in Virginia.
Wait. Now, what are you establishing as support? He voted for it?
He endorsed it. No, he endorsed the idea. He supported the idea.
No, he's already. That's his
ideology. That's what the word. All right, so the word
ideology.
Yes, he supported it. He supported racial integrity.
It's his ideology. You can't.
That's called support.
No, it's not support.
Yes, that is support. You don't control the definition of support.
I'm not.
You don't. You are,
because according to the argument,
word support. Okay,
they're supporting his argument.
I would like to define the word support. The word support means to promote the interest or cause. So he did that. He promoted the interest or cause of the laws, the hypodescent law that was passed in Virginia. He literally did that.
These people are supporting him.
He advocated. No, he supported it. And he even sent his wife to their convention to talk about racial integrity and hypodescent. I literally brought that up in my debate.
So when we're talking about racial integrity is not limited to white people. Why do you think white people are the only ones that can have these positions?
No one said it was. The word Jim Crow.
That's what you're saying. So let's take this point by point. Can black people believe in racial separation and racial purity?
Of course. That's
right. So why then do you have to include white people's decision on that when I tell you it's his decision? He already believes this. So now if white people support him, then they're supporting his decision, right?
And he's supporting them. That's the part you're trying to ignore and meander instead of being honest. He supported Cox. He supported. Hold on, I'm trying to answer you. I'm trying to answer you. He supported Ernest Server Cox. He supported Plecker. He sent his wife to the convention.
We're gonna do this one by one.
The word support means to advocate. The word support means to advocate.
Right.
They advocated for the law. They advocated for racial integrity. They advocated for anti-discrimination. No, that's support. Debate over. That's support.
Debate is not. You keep running. We're talking about Ernest Cox.
I'm here. How am I running? I'm right here in your face, punching you in your shit.
Oh my God.
How the fuck am I running?
This is insane.
I know it's insane for you to not know what the word support means, sir. The word support is a very simple definition to the word support.
Explain to me how he supported Ernest Cox.
I just explained to you. He advocated for racial integrity laws. He sent his wife to go to the rallies. He advocated.
So the question is, was
advocation.
Was Ernest Cox a lawmaker?
Ernest Cox, no. Walter Plecker, he was a registrar.
And we doing Ernest Cox.
No, ain't no slow down, bro. You're not gonna trick nobody.
I don't need
Walter
to trick you.
Plecker and Ernest Cox.
So why would you say he was? So why?
Hold on.
Why would you mention law?
Because Cox played an influence. I'm trying to answer you.
Go ahead.
Cox also played an influential role in lobbying the Virginia General Assembly to pass the Racial Integrity Act of 1920.
A lawmaker was the question.
He lobbied. You don't have to be a lawmaker to be in support of a law.
That's if you're arguing that he changed the law.
That is a false dichotomy. Again, Walter Plecker, I'm going to say it again. Walter Plecker lobbied the Virginia General Assembly to pass the Racial Integrity Act of 1920.
I stopped the time at 7 minutes, 52 seconds.
Yeah, you get beat up.
What I need
Right.
is for questions to be asked and questions to be answered. I know it's going to turn into a back and forth, but let's try to
that's what
get
he
the
has.
question
That's what we gotta do.
and answer.
So let's
Time starts
go.
back.
Right. So let's go back some. So are you aware that the first one drop rule laws are predating Marcus Garvey's arrival? These things are already in place before he gets here.
Non sequitur, because the debate is about the support. Did he support Jim Crow? And I'm showing and proving that he did.
Well,
he literally was in bed with. He literally was in.
Slow down, dude. You just
no. I'm trying to answer you. You're not letting me answer, and everybody's saying you do that.
No, they see me.
I was not done answering.
You just
you
just argued the one drop rule, and I let you drop it. So now that we've recentered, I'm asking you for a reason. I'm asking you for a reason. Are you aware that the argument you were just making predate Marcus Garvey's arrival?
Well, nope, because the argument I made was passed in 1924 with the stamp of Marcus Garvey by sending his wife to the rallies to advocate for it. What are you talking about? That's not before Marcus Garvey. I'm talking about the act, the Racial Integrity Act of 1924.
That's not what you argue.
That is what I just argued. Everybody heard me. What are you talking about? It's on camera.
Did you not argue the one drop rule?
That is the one drop rule.
No, it's not. Well,
yes, anybody can look up. Hold on. See, this is how you know you don't know your information. Racial Integrity Act of 1924 is also known as hypo dissent and or one drop rule. So you don't know what you're talking about. You don't know.
So right. So do you believe that's the first? Because I'm arguing the first would have been 1910.
That's non sequitur. We're not talking about the first.
I'm telling you when you said the one drop rule, you were arguing.
No, I'm not arguing that. I'm arguing. I told you the law. I told you the exact law. You can't misrepresent me.
I know you won.
That don't work. That don't work. You can't misrepresent me. Everybody heard what I said. The Racial Integrity Act of 1924. That's the one he supported. That's what he supported, which is a Jim Crow law. All racial integrity laws are Jim Crow. All anti-miscegenation laws are Jim Crow.
It's already law. He came into that law.
It was not law yet. In the Virginia, hold on. Why would they be lobbying for something that was already law? It was not law. You're lying.
Do you need me to show you it was already
law? It was not. No, the Racial Integrity Act of 1924 is how it's going to be a, hold on, listen. I want the audience to hear this. It's the Racial Integrity Act of 1924. How is it already law if it's the Racial Integrity Act of 1924 and they lobbied to get it passed? Marcus Garvey supported it. He shared the belief that only way to save the racists was African Americans.
Stop my time, bro.
Nah, ain't no stop your time now. You in the Shark Tank now, boy.
Ridiculous, man.
Yeah.
All right, that is the Taz has used his first timeout.
Go ahead and cha slide. He Googling.
He has two more. Taz, what you wanna try to get squared away?
He Googling. You need to Google.
Let him talk. Let him talk, Joshua.
The one drop rule was introduced in 1910. So when he says that, when he implies 1924, he's wrong.
I gave the actual law that was passed, so that don't work. If I tell you the law, racial integrity, stop. If I tell you the Racial Integrity Act of 1924, I'm giving you the specific law. It's also known as the hypo dissent and one drop rule.
But
check this out.
No but.
This is what we're gonna do, y'all. This is what we're gonna do. Wow. From with these last 5 minutes, Taz is going to ask a question and simply get the answer so he can move on to his next question.
Easy money now.
Time starts.
So do you know what year the one drop rule was codified?
Non sequitur. The law that I brought up that's known as the one drop rule is Racial Integrity Act of 1924. Of course, Marcus Garvey wouldn't have anything to do with the one in 1910 that you just brought up. I did not bring that up. It's non sequitur. Has nothing to do with anything I said. I'm bringing it up where Cox, Walter Plecker, and John Powell all got together and they lobbied for this law to be passed, and Marcus Garvey advocated for the law being passed because he agreed that the races should stay separate. He agreed with anti-miscegenation. He agreed that mongrels were the enemy to blacks and whites. They both aligned there on the Jim Crow ideology.
So again, like I'm arguing with you, seem to keep going over your head. These laws were already in place when Marcus Garvey got here. So he's responding.
Non sequitur.
So again,
non sequitur. You asked me what law that he advocated for. I gave you the law.
Just because you say it's non sequitur doesn't mean
it is non sequitur because we're not debating what law came first.
These things are already in place.
What's the topic?
Why Marcus Garvey is saying what he's saying, because these laws are already
agreeing.
Yes,
he's agreeing with the law. He's agreeing with the law that's being presented. Hold on.
He's acknowledging.
He's agreeing with it. He agreed with it.
He's acknowledging them.
Agreed with it. What's the topic? The topic is, did he support Jim Crow? And you just proved that he supported Jim Crow because he supported. Hold on, stop. He supported racial integrity. Yeah, so you don't want me to answer shit, right?
I'm just
you don't answer because you know you're wrong.
I'm the one supposed to be asking the question. You just don't have to answer, I guess.
I'm trying to answer you.
I ain't asked the question. Are the laws already in place when Garvey gets here?
Not this one. Racial Integrity Act is passed in 1924, and that's the one I brought up. And he advocated for it.
It's not. And see that the
well, let me answer it. Let me answer it. Non sequitur.
You've already answered.
All right, time is stopped. Time is stopped. Joshua, I just need you to answer the question. You don't have to elaborate unless he asks you to. If he asks you to elaborate, elaborate. Otherwise, just answer the question.
He ain't gonna railroad.
So again, if the first laws of anti-miscegenation and the first laws against racial integrity are in place before Garvey gets here, is he not pushing back against them as opposed to supporting them?
Again, non sequitur. We're not talking about what came first. What we're talking about, did he support Jim Crow? And we showed and proved in the presentation, and even you did, that he did support the tenets of Jim Crow. So therefore, debate over. Trying to do these non sequitur tactics and cha-cha sliding all over the place is not going to help you. He himself advocated for the racial integrity law of Act of 1924. He sent his wife. Oh, that's 12 minutes right there. That's 12 minutes right there.
Yeah, I got my time stopped twice. Can you tell me the source of these Jim Crow tenets? Can you give me the source of that?
Jim Crow segregation is of the South. What are we talking about? It exists even before 1896 Plessy versus Ferguson. What are you talking about? It stems from the Black Code. It stems from the idea. Hold on, I'm trying to answer you.
Can you just share your screen and show it right quick?
Well, I have to go get the source that's going to burn all the time up. So just let me give a summation.
I don't want a summation. I want a source because there are no tenets of Jim Crow.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. So you know what? All right. So do you know what the word tenet means?
Absolutely.
All right. So,
but I need you to show where you're getting your source.
Watch this.
You keep telling me what
the word tenet is a. Hold on. Hold on, stop. All right, let me just show the audience you don't know what you're talking about. A tenet is a principle or belief. One of the tenets is separation. One of the tenets is separation. Another tenet is anti-miscegenation.
Where are you getting this from?
This is clear evidence. The Jim Crow Museum. What you said you was going to read from the Jim Crow Museum.
I don't have any tenets.
That's one of the core tenets. And it expands. Hold on, I brought out in my debate.
All right, time is stopped at 40 seconds. Time is stopped at 40 seconds. Once again, ask question, answer question. This is not an extension of the debate. Time starts.
Yeah, question. Is there a direct source for the tenets of Jim Crow, or are you giving me your understanding of what Jim Crow is?
No, I gave you sources. I gave you sources during the presentation. Maybe you should have took notes like I took notes when you were talking.
A source for the tenets of Jim Crow.
Yeah.
I'm being
So I read in my first round, the laws are not an adequate index or extent and prevalence of segregation and discriminatory practices in the South.
tenant of Jim Crow.
Hold on, I'm trying to tell you, but you won't let me. The practices often anticipated and sometimes exceeded the laws. It may be confidently assumed that there's more Jim Crowism practiced in the South than there are Jim Crow laws on the books. I literally read that from the Oxford Handbook of African American Citizenship.
Time is up. Time is up. Crazy chin check round. Let me reset the time for 12 minutes. And yes, I did let them go for a little while. That was a crazy first round of the chin check session. We turning it over to Lucifer to ask task questions. Same thing applies. It is up to the person asking the questions to mind their time. If it starts to stall, they have up to 3 opportunities to stop their time. Likewise, if it's stalling too much or it's becoming incoherent, I will get involved and ask that a question is answered and an answer is given. As you can see, the chin check session gets hectic. Joshua, time starts when you start asking questions.
All right, let's get this over with, man. We got a Super Bowl to go watch. We want to see the Seattle Seahawks spank the Patriots. You know what I'm saying? They ain't gonna hold y'all too long. So let's start off like this. Did Marcus Garvey support a white America?
Did Marcus Garvey support a white America? No, he acknowledged the white America.
So he didn't say let's keep America white. The white man has a right to keep America white, and the black man has a right to keep Africa black. He didn't allude to that?
No, he acknowledged that the white man has the right to keep America white, which is why he said Africa for Africans.
So he didn't say they had a right to do it. If they have a right, that's support.
No, that's acknowledgement.
No, that's saying if someone, do you know what the word right means? What does it mean to have a right? An inalienable right.
Do you know what acknowledgement means?
I know exactly what acknowledgement means, but do you know what it means to have a right? He said the white man has a right because he found it and he conquered it, and we can't blame him if he wants to keep it. Those are his words.
Right. Those are his words. Right. Those are his words.
And all right. So how about this? He also stated that if the white man wants to Jim Crow him and keep him out of the railroad cars, the street cars, he can do it. He has a right to do that because he didn't build any of the cars. Right. Basically defended it. Isn't that support and defense of Jim Crow? He's not fighting it, he's supporting it.
No, that's what he actually said after that. Let's go build our own cars. Let's stop trying to ride in their cars. Let's quit being dependent upon their cars. We don't need their cars. We're better than their cars. We can make better cars than they make. We're better than them. We're smarter than them. We're more innovative than them.
Keep conceding.
Right? You don't understand that? You don't get that?
Conceding. You're conceding. All right. Thank you for conceding. So he wanted he was okay with the separation in public spaces and services. That's basically what you admitted to, which is a core tenet. Hold on. That's a core tenet of Jim Crow. That's mentioned. Hold on. That's a core tenet of they're literally called Jim. Hold on. So they're not called Jim Crow cars? They're not called Jim Crow rail cars.
He acknowledged they're called Jim Crow cars
because he said I'm lying.
He acknowledged that.
Let me ask you a question. So he acknowledged it and he also justified it. Did he not justify it?
No.
Did he justify the white man not allowing black people to use public services?
No, he never justified.
All right, so I'm gonna read it again for you. He said this is a white man's country. He found it. He conquered it, and we can't blame him. He said we can't blame him if he wants to keep it.
What you want to read, bro, but that
that's justification. That's justification.
You're supposed to be debating me. Why are you reading?
I'm giving you questions, and I'm reading his quote
like you ain't up
to show the people that he supported it, right?
But
he
acknowledged it.
Actually, he just literally just said he can't blame them. They got a right to do it. He said they got a right to do it. Okay, all right.
He want to create his own nation.
Check it out.
He want his own nation.
Was Jim Crow designed to keep races separate?
Was Jim Crow? No, it was designed to hold black people back.
No. Answer the question. Was Jim Crow designed to keep races separate?
No, it was designed to
all right, so you're being disingenuous.
You got to let me answer the question.
Well, I was trying to answer. You wouldn't let me answer. Go ahead.
It's literally one of my slides. Jim Crow is a response to Reconstruction to disenfranchise black people.
Red herring. Again, I said, was Jim Crow designed to keep the races separate? Yes or no?
No.
All right, so that you're ahistorical because it absolutely was, and that's what 1896 Plessy versus Ferguson was about: separate but equal. That's a Jim Crow law. That's a Jim Crow that was passed in support of Jim Crow, and it's clear that it was designed to keep races separate. Now, did Garvey agree with the separation of races?
Garvey agreed that
Yes
white
or no?
people would mistreat black people.
Yes or no?
He agreed that the white people would always mistreat black people.
They see you waffling, brother. Yes or no?
It's not waffling. It's acknowledging the
No.
Jim
Did he
Crow
agree with racial separation?
I can't complain about my answer. I would like for you to try to refute.
All right, so it's inadequate because it's clear he agreed with racial separation. You showed in your PowerPoint. You showed in your you showed in your slides. Hold on. You showed in your slides again. You showed in your slides that he supported separation. That was hey, ladies and gentlemen, that was his first slide.
Stop the time at 7 minutes and 23 seconds. The time is stopped at 7 minutes and 23 seconds. Let's get the question asked and the question answered. Time starts.
Here's my next question. Why did Garvey frequently use the term race purity, which is a known phrase used by Jim Crow segregationists?
Why did he frequently use the term? Because that's what he believed.
Thank you. That's all I needed. He believed in racial purity, which is also a tenet of Jim Crow. Thank you. Did Garvey oppose anti-miscegenation?
Did he oppose it? Of course not.
Did he support it?
Black people to be with each other.
Okay. Did he support it?
He wanted black people to be with each other.
Thank you. So that's admission that he supported another tenet of Jim Crow.
That's saying that he wanted black people to be together.
Oh, all right, hold on. Did Garvey? Hold on. All right, next question. That's all I needed. That's all I needed. You're showing that he supported it. That's all I needed. Did Garvey? Hold on. Did Garvey have a disdain for mongrels?
What's a mongrel?
A mongrel is a light-skinned mixed black person or a mixed person in general.
No.
Oh, he literally said the mongrels will destroy America. He literally said that.
He was specifically speaking to people who were going against what he wanted to do, which was help black people get out of the situation.
He said mongrels. He said he didn't say that. In his words, he said the mongrels.
Crazy. I can't even finish.
Yeah, but because you're misinformed. And you're trying to misinform people. He literally said that mongrels will destroy America. Now, let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question. Hold on.
Time is stopped. Time is stopped.
Mm-hmm.
Can we get the question answered and get the answer to the question? You can move on to the next question whenever you're ready, as you know. But can we get the question answered? I'm not hearing the back and forth. I'm just hearing more argumentation. Time will start at 6 minutes.
All right. So ultimately, if Garvey and the KKK both agreed that black people and white people should never live together, how can their agendas be considered anything other than mutually reinforcing?
Because the Ku Klux Klan is the ones that are being oppressive. Marcus Garvey is acknowledging the oppression and responding to it by telling people to prepare themselves and protect themselves, in which I showed during the debate. At no point did Marcus Garvey say, allow the Klan to come through your neighborhoods, bother you, hurt you, disrespect you.
He never said that. I never said he did. I'm gonna repeat the question. Maybe you didn't understand it. Ultimately, if Garvey and the KKK both agreed that black and white people should never live together, that was the point. How can their agendas be considered anything other than mutually reinforcing? They're both showing support for each other.
Like, you keep talking about agenda as opposed to what the law is already. So again, this is the law, and Marcus Garvey is responding to it. So his response,
did he support?
Oh my God.
No, I'm asking you. Maybe you don't. Maybe it's hard for you because you don't know what I'm asking you. I'm asking you, did he support the idea that these Jim Crow segregationists had, that black and white people should never live together? Did he support that idea?
He acknowledged it and tried to move on from it, which is why, again, he tried to create different circumstances for black people that you seemingly want to ignore. in terms of Jim Crow. He's trying to
Right.
create better circumstances for black
In the
people.
book, okay, here's
That
my
goes
next
against
question.
Jim Crow.
You're waffling.
That goes
Here's my
against
next
Jim
question.
Crow.
Here's my
That goes
question.
against
My next question.
Jim Crow.
Here's my next question. You're waffling. You're waffling. Everyone sees you doing it too. My next question is, can we find the same ideology within his cohorts, such as John Powell, Ernest Cox, and Walter Plecker? The same ideology of racial separation.
No, they did not want to see black prosperity. So they don't
Did I ask you that? The same ideology of racial separation. That's what I asked you.
Right, but you're saying it for your purposes of those white people.
I'm just asking you about racial separation. I'm not asking you anything else. Everything else is not secular.
It absolutely is not non sequitur because racial separation.
It is not. I said racial separation. Why are you not answering? It's a yes or no question. Did he? All right, here's the next question. Here's the next question since you can't answer that.
Every time you realize you can't.
No, because you're going on a tangent about nothing. And don't stop the time. Just let it go. Let everybody see him do this. Anyway, what I'm about to say again, I'm gonna say this. Did John Powell support repatriation?
I don't know.
Yes, he did. He did it. He did it. Yeah, he did it. Yeah. What about Ernest Cox? What about Ernest Cox? Did he support repatriation?
Yeah, I think he did.
Yeah. Did not your boy Marcus Garvey support repatriation?
Did Jim Crow laws support repatriation?
I'm giving you the ideas and the background. Yes, the Jim Crow segregationists supported it. That's what I'm telling you.
So why did the bill get shot down in 1924? Why did the Mississippi Bill for it get shot down in 1924?
No, what I'm telling you is that they supported the idea of repatriation. So that was a yes or no. You don't know what you're talking about because I asked you a yes or no question. And you said yes. That's all I needed. Let's move on. So they did support and align on that.
You shouldn't have answered.
It's over, bro. It's over, man.
Smart.
Sure. Coming to the guy that's misrepresenting history. You also, let me see what else we got here. Let's see.
See how I ain't crying and like trying to make a thing through your
Sure. Did Marcus was Marcus Garvey against the NAACP's fight for integration?
Absolutely.
Okay. Were the Jim Crow segregationists against the NAACP's fight for integration?
Not all of them, no.
What's that? They did not. So you're saying people that, okay, are you saying Jim Crow segregationists believed in integration?
Yes.
Is that what you're telling me?
Yes, some of them were perfectly fine with having black people in their workforce.
No, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about, listen, that's Texas. That's Texas sharpshooter. Hold on, listen. That's Texas sharpshooter. You're not shooting anything. That's Texas. Yeah, that you are shooting. That's Texas sharpshooter. I asked you a specific question. So are you saying Jim Crow hold on. Are you saying Jim Crow segregation?
Hiring them at?
No,
you need me to show you where it was at?
I don't need you to do it. This is my Q&A. This is my Q&A. So I'm about to ask you the next question. You shut up, bro. It's my Q&A. So my next question is, are you saying that Jim Crow segregationists did not advocate for the separation of black and white people? That's crazy. Is that what you're saying?
What I'm saying.
Are you saying that?
What I'm saying is that when they could use black labor to benefit themselves,
I'm not asking you about black labor, non-secular.
No,
so they wanted black people. Earlier, you told me they didn't want black and white to live together. Earlier, you told me they didn't want black and white to live together. Hypocrisy. Let it go, DMG. That's what you said earlier. Now you switching up and running all over the place. It is clear they support Jim Crow segregationists supported the separation of both races, and you know it.
I said some of them.
And Marcus Garvey agreed with those tenets. Body bag. Yeah.
No. Saying body.
You can say no all you want, nigga. You are a body for the Catholic Cathedral, and none of the niggas worthy on the Catholic clergy.
That is time. That is time. Powerful chin check round from both brothers. As always, the chin check round gets a little bit lively. Let me reset the clock to 3 minutes. for each of these brothers to close this thing out. For those who joined, we appreciate you. For those who joined on Taz channel, we definitely appreciate you. Salute to everybody that clicked over to continue watching this thing on Worldview Wars Debate League. We're trying to build this thing up so it can stand on its own. So we appreciate all the support. That being said, Taz, there are 3 minutes on the clock. Time will start when you start. You need me to share your screen?
Yeah, share my screen, man, on the way up out of here. So,
all right, time.
So in closing, fam, again, I wanted to make sure we understood that Jim Crow in itself, even if we argue Jim Crowism, it's going to be impossible to put Marcus Garvey as a supporter of it, especially if you're arguing separation versus segregation. What I also did during this debate was showed you the multiple ways that Marcus Garvey went against what would be considered Jim Crowism, Jim Crow ideology, a Jim Crow thought process, or any of these people that he's saying were supportive of Jim Crow themselves. The fact of the matter is Marcus Garvey had his own strategy, his own plans, and the things that he wanted to execute. And with that, he was not supporting Jim Crow. He was actually trying to execute his plans. So just because he does not want to see black and white people get married, that does not mean he's supporting Jim Crow. Just because he says black people can live separately from white people and still thrive, that does not mean he's supporting Jim Crow. So when he claims that there are tenets of Jim Crow and this and that, these things don't exist. These are things that he thought of on the way in the debate, but didn't think through. Because again, Jim Crow is a specific set of understandings, which the laws include. When you add the ism and you add the other parts to it, you get nothing more than a people that hate black people. That would be the foundational understanding of it. So if you don't agree and say that Marcus Garvey is somehow a Jim Crow supporter with these white people, you're lying about history. No, Marcus Garvey went against the grain. He did a lot of things that no one else did at that time. And it was because black people were suppressed. It was because Jim Crow was an actual attempt to hold black people back. And no, Marcus Garvey did not want to see black people held back. He himself did not want to be held back, which again is why you saw so much in the history of Marcus Garvey and what he did to move black people forward. So when we start talking about Jim Crow and the support of, if you cannot show Jim Crow, if you cannot show Marcus Garvey at lynchings or voting for Jim Crow laws or supporting the causes that actually mean black people suffer, then no, he's not supporting Jim Crow. I don't understand the logic behind the argument, the simple overlaps that he tried to highlight. I certainly made and gave the understanding that they're just simply overlaps. Garvey can have his own mindset about separation and it not have anything to do with what the white man wants to do. The Ku Klux Klan can have their own interests in wanting to get black people out the country, but that can also have nothing to do with what Marcus Garvey wants to do.
It's time. Finish your thought.
And so, yeah, in closing, fam, like I say, Marcus Garvey just wanted to prove that we were not going to be equal. We would always be separate. And history showed that, which is why it took almost 90 years to end Jim Crow. I appreciate y'all coming out. Thanks for watching the debate.
All right. Lucifer, you want to share your screen, bro?
Yeah, I just want to share this. Hold on real quick. That was a good emotional diatribe from my brother, man. But we're going to end on this like this for the Catholic Church, another body for the Catholic Cathedral.
All right. 3 minutes start when you start.
So, I mean, it was very clear that in my debate, I demonstrated that the ideas overlap, that he literally gave his moral support, his actual support, sent his wife to rallies and whatnot. And this was even said in response and correspondence while he was in jail for Mr. John Paul. He said, and as we discussed these matters, I found that in every essential principle, the ideals and ideas of Marcus Garvey were identical with those of the organization which I have honor to represent, the Anglo-Saxon Club of America. So his ideas are in agreement. We're in support of each other's which is the Anglo-Saxons and the UNIA. They both supported each other. They both gave their verbal and written, consent of each other's ideas, basically saying we on the same team and we're playing on the same team and we're together. They literally said these things. Now, Taz can be imaginative and try to distort history and cha-cha slide, electric boogaloo, and all these dances to try to get y'all away from that. But it's very clear that he supported Jim Crow. He supported the laws too, because anti-miscegenation laws is a part of Jim Crow politicians. That was what they advocated for. That's a part of their laws. And he was with it. And he even sent his wife to the rally to promote it. There's no way around it. You got to be an ahistorical person to agree with Taz's position. It's a faulty premise. And if you have a faulty premise, you're going to come to a faulty conclusion, right? So the idea that Garvey's methods validated and strengthened Jim Crow. In closing, we must judge Marcus Garvey not by his intentions, what my man tried to do today. Oh, well, this was his intentions. The debate is, did he support Jim Crow? I proved it emphatically. But by his impact, by his own admission, Garvey found the Ku Klux Klan to be honest and decent allies, while the NAACP and other civil rights leaders were risking their lives to dismantle the chains of Jim Crow. Garvey was shaking hands with the locksmith by endorsing the concepts of racial purity and rejecting the fight for integration. Garvey didn't just accept Jim Crow, he reinforced it. He provided white supremacists with the ultimate weapon, a black leader who agreed that black people didn't belong in American democracy. So support the logic of separate is to inevitably support the reality of unequal. Garvey's legacy, while built on a foundation of black pride, ultimately became a pillar of very segregationist systems that sought to keep black Americans in shadow. To say Marcus Garvey supported Jim Crow is to mistake a doctor for the disease. Garvey didn't create segregation. Like my opponent was like, I knew he was going to come with this. Oh, did he invent it? Did he invent it? He looked at the house on fire and told his people to stop trying to move into the guest room and instead built their own mansion. This was your point. This is still him supporting it.
That is time. Finish your thought, bro.
Man, look. These niggas not worthy. It's on the Catholic clergy. VM. Let's get out of here, bro.
All right, let's move Lucifer presentation. Hey, I want to thank both of you brothers for a powerful debate. Have been wanting to get Taz over here for a while. I'm glad none other than the franchise could step up. Listen, I will have the Fallout show with the results of this debate and last night's debate between Yaya Bantu and my man Gideon. So that Fallout show will probably be Wednesday. Check the channel to be sure, but it will be no later than Wednesday. We're going to let the judges watch, do their assessments, but it is Super Bowl day, so we're going to let them get that on. I got 2 shows scheduled for Monday and Tuesday. We got our man Steve Calabro coming on tomorrow with a powerful presentation. Tuesday, we introducing a new debater in the Crucible. So y'all be here for that. So Wednesday, we will have a Fallout show, get you the judges' results for this debate. That being said, I think my man Taz said they about to go live. Lucifer, enjoy your game, bro. Family, y'all know what it is, man. Paradigm Shift TV 314, Worldview Wars Debate League. We getting ready to get up out of here. Next sound y'all gonna hear is that of my man Hemi. Did either one of y'all, starting with Taz, have any closing remarks for what you got coming up?
Nah, fam, I'm over there. The GOAT debater. GOAT is an acronym. Come subscribe to me, rock with me. I try to just stay current and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? So nothing special, but content every day for sure.
That's what's up. If you're not already subscribed, go subscribe to the brother. Check him out. He got some good content over there. Lucifer, any last words and what you got coming up?
Yeah, support Taz. He came and showed love to the channel. He came and showed love to the platform, DMG. So I got to respect the brother for coming through. I called him out. He showed up, showed out. So I appreciate him coming. And, we got to touch gloves today. I also thought this was you told me it was a promo. So now it's not a promo? DMG?
What's that?
You said it was a promo debate?
Promo. Showcase, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. We not going. This ain't gonna have nothing to do with your record and Worldview Wars Debate League. Yeah. Now, if
no. I was under the impression when you told me that it wasn't gonna be judged. So I was like, oh, I thought it was gonna be judged. But now you cleared it up.
We're like I said, we gonna get the results. I still want to know who the people thought won. Now that being said, the debate that's gonna count for the Worldview Wars Debate League is the one that happened last night.
Gotcha.
So we good.
But I appreciate Taz coming out, showing love to the platform. This is what we do here. It's a blood sport. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
It is what it is. Let's get it, VM.
For sure.
Appreciate it, bro. Good shit, fam.
Next sound y'all gonna hear is gonna be that of our verse. I almost said versus series again. See, it's still there. Our Worldview Wars Debate League world champion Big Hemi. Y'all know what it is. Welcome to the shift. Everybody enjoy the game. Enjoy the rest of your night. Appreciate y'all being with us. We'll see y'all Wednesday for the results. We'll see y'all tomorrow with Steve. We out of here. That's peace.
I don't got no friends. You know what I mean? I got supporters, people on my side and people on the other side.
Welcome to the shift where the whole room blows. DMG vibes got the city on go. Stand on what you know, every mind gon' grow. This you flat, I'm with you, let the whole world know. Paradigm like, yo, shine just right. Respect your view even if we don't align right. We can disagree and still keep the love tight. DMG family, we elevate the mind right. This that channel that be talking back, energy attack. Iron sharp as iron, watch the whole league react. Competition in the building, better tighten up your facts. We ain't clones, but we still mirror how you crack under impact. Every debater work hard, spot a weak, rap fast. You live wrong, paradigm shift and break your stance. I'm the judge, the jury, the pen, the contrast. My bars hit always like a quadruple. Buying title shift where the whole room glow. DMG vibes got the city on go. Stand on what you know, every mind gon' grow. If you black, I'm with you, let the whole world know. Paradigm light, yeah, we shine just right. Respect your view, even if we don't all align right. We can disagree and still keep the love tight. DMG family, we elevate the mind right. We invite every mind, long as you stand on yours. Walking with respect, leave with open doors. Channel stay lit, views jumping off from boards. STL bounce, yeah, the spy from the source. Competitors, welcome, step up, don't fold. We don't fit pressure, we refine under low. Thoughts heavy, we press them till the truth get told. Shift so clean, it feel platinum even when it's gold. Come through correct, bring your logic and your proof. Speak your truth, just don't run from the truth. We debate with grace, that's the paradigm groove. Flow so smooth, even turbulence move. Welcome to the shift where the whole room go. DMG vibes got the city on go. Stand on what you know, every mind gon' grow. If you black, I'm with you, let the whole world know. Paradigm light, yeah, we shine just right. Respect your view, even if we don't align right. We can disagree and still keep the love tight. DMG family, we elevate the mind right. Where the whole glow. DMG vibes got the city on go. Stand on what you know, every mind gon' know. If you black, I'm with you, let the whole world know. Paradigm life, yeah, we shine just right. Respect your view, even if we don't align right. We can disagree and still keep the love tight. DMG family, we elevate the mind right. Welcome to the shift. DMG vibes got the city on go. Welcome to the shift. Stand on what you know, every mind gon' grow. Welcome to the shift. If you black, I'm with you, if you black, I'm with you. Welcome to the shift. We can disagree and still keep the love tight. Welcome to the shift. DMG family, we elevate the mind right. Welcome to the shift. DMG vibe, got the city on low. Paradigm shift, keep it real for.
Y'all know I say that greeting for one reason and one reason only. It's because if you black, I'm with you. And I hope that you with me.